Welcome to The Divine Boundary, a video focusing on reclaiming the Quranic standard of halal and haram through pure textual evidence. The right of legislation to declare what is permissible, halal, and forbidden, haram, belongs exclusively to the Creator. Imposing human-made restrictions is a breach of divine jurisdiction, as confirmed in Surah Yunus 10:59. We address the fallacy of consensus against the revealed text, referencing Quran 10:59. Cultural taboos and juristic opinions should not be elevated to divine law. Consensus cannot overrule the detailed parameters of the Quran. The default state of earthly provision is expansive permission. The Quranic standard is a broad mercy, not a complex web of restrictions. The burden of proof for prohibition lies with those claiming it. Quran 5:3 details a specific list of prohibitions, including carrion, blood, swine, and meat dedicated to other than Allah. This verse emphasizes that the religion has been perfected and completed. This illustrates the closed taxonomy of prohibited flesh: carrion, blood, swine, and altars. The rule, based on Surah Al-An'am 6-119, is that to add to this exhaustive list is a theological transgression. The spiritual status of meat is tied to mentioning the name of God at the moment of sacrifice. The Quran prioritizes conscious spiritual dedication over exhaustive procedural traditions, as seen in Surah Al-An'am 6-118 and 6-121. We examine the nature of intoxicants. The word Khamr derives from a root meaning, quote, to cover, veil, or obscure, defining it as a functional assault on the mind, an obscuration of conscious reasoning. Quran 2-219 states that while intoxicants and gambling may have some benefit, the evil outweighs the benefit. Quran 5-90 further categorizes intoxicants alongside gambling and idols as abominations of Satan's handiwork. The deductive proof of absolute prohibition shows that all sin is forbidden by God, and Khamr contains great sin. Therefore, Khamr is definitively classified as haram. Surah 5-90 groups 4 items, including intoxicants, as rij, abomination from Satan's handiwork. Grouping Khamr alongside idols elevates its consumption from a physical lapse to a profound spiritual rebellion. Intoxicants are placed in the same spiritual category as idols. This severe classification means the prohibition is not merely a dietary restriction, but an act alongside spiritual treason, as all 4 items are labeled rijs. The word ijtanibuhu commands absolute distance, derived from the root jnb, meaning side. This mandate forbids not just consumption, but presence within the entire ecosystem of the substance, similar to avoiding false deities. The command to avoid taghut and avoid the abomination of idols uses the same linguistic severity as the prohibition of intoxicants, reinforcing the mandate for absolute distancing in the believer's ecosystem. Utilitarian benefit does not equal divine permission. While alcohol has material uses, the spiritual cost of obscuring the intellect outweighs any worldly benefit. Recreational consumption is categorically forbidden. This model shows the temporal incompatibility of intoxication and prayer. Verse 443 restricts approaching prayer while intoxicated, because prayer requires conscious communion, and Khamr veils the mind. The two cannot coexist. The Quran explains the damage caused by intoxicants. Verse 5-91 reveals Satan's goals: to cause animosity and hatred, avert remembrance of God, and block prayer, leading to societal destruction and spiritual severance. The prohibition on intoxicants is part of the dual preservation of innate human nature, or fitra. Physical purity is maintained by dietary laws, while cognitive purity is guarded by the total avoidance of veiling substances, ensuring capacity for conscious connection with the divine. The final verdict: based strictly on the Quran, intoxicants or Khamr are entirely forbidden. They are labeled as rij, an abomination, categorized alongside idolatry and identified as the work of Satan, designed to destroy society. We invite you to subscribe to God alone, Quran alone. To follow the Quran is to accept the ease it provides, reject the filth it defines, and fiercely protect the boundaries drawn by the Creator alone.
Welcome to The Divine Boundary, a data-driven linguistic analysis of the Quranic standard of halal and haram food. Our focus is on the Quran alone. Sovereignty over what is permissible belongs exclusively to the Creator. The default state is that all provisions sent down by Allah is lawful. Expanding the prohibited list without scriptural authority is a fallacy against God. The Quranic perimeter of forbidden sustenance is exhaustively detailed. Surah Al-An'am states that God has explained in detail what He has forbidden. This includes carrion, spilled blood, the flesh of swine, and that dedicated to other than Allah. The timeline for lawful meat involves 4 phases: preparation, consecration, the sacrifice, and consumption. The dedication of the animal to God must occur before the meat reaches the eater. The word khamr means to cover, to veil, or to obscure. Khamr is a substance that functionally casts a veil over the cognitive and moral faculties. The prohibition is a foundational imperative to preserve the conscious mind. The taxonomy of abomination shows that khamr, maisir, ansab, and azlam are all linked to rijj, abomination or filth, from the handiwork of Satan. Intoxicants are a fundamental breach of the intellect, a spiritual treason. The semantics of distance reveal why avoid is stricter than forbidden. Hurima, forbidden, is a fixed boundary, but ijtanibuhu, avoid it, demands total estrangement from the substance and its entire ecosystem, including intoxicants. We can prove the prohibition of khamr through textual synthesis. The major premise is that God only forbids immorality and sin. Khamr is established to contain great sin. Therefore, khamr is explicitly haram. The net output scale reconciles worldly benefit with spiritual harm. The sinful impact of khamr, the greater harm, vastly outweighs its material benefits. Its net output requires categorical prohibition. The principle of necessity distinguishes between medical and recreational use. Recreational use is forbidden because the sin of veiling the intellect outweighs utilitarian gains. Medical use is permitted under the principle of necessity. The satanic objective model illustrates khamr as a mechanism of severance. It induces animosity, lowers inhibitions, and averts the mind from remembrance and prayer. The success of the believer relies on escaping this mechanism. The verse in Surah An-Nisa, "Do not approach the prayer while you are intoxicated," does not grant temporal permission. It establishes the incompatibility principle. Cognitive clarity and divine connection cannot coexist with a veiled mind. The assertion of temporal permission is a fallacy that contradicts the Quran's logic. This verse safeguards the intellect, ensuring the mind remains clear to recognize the divine, as intoxication is a tool of Satan. There is an eschatological distinction between earthly intoxicants and heavenly wine. Earthly khamr causes intoxication and destructive effects, but the heavenly reward is a purified essence that explicitly lacks mind-covering agents. The covenant of the conscious mind involves 3 elements: sovereign authority, total distance, and the ultimate goal. The entire system is designed to preserve the innate nature and the human intellect. Submission requires a clear mind. To follow the Quran is to accept the ease it provides, reject the filth it defines, and fiercely protect the boundaries drawn by the Creator alone. Please subscribe to God Alone, Quran Alone.